Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Gretchen and today I'm back with another Women's Prize for Fiction Longlist review, and today's pick is Soldier Sailor by Claire Kilroy. And I am just gonna say this was a 5-star read for me. This was a wow. I was blown away at this book. Irish fiction, I don't know what is in the water in Ireland, but man, they can write. They can write, and they can write in a way that will cut you down the middle and split you apart and expose every single emotion and feeling that you have hiding inside your body. And if you don't think that you have any, they will find it and they will pull it out and they will expose it to you. I don't know how they do it. I am always affected this way when I am reading Irish fiction. They just know exactly what buttons to hit and what emotions to talk about, and I am just in awe. I'm in awe of how they do it, and this book was no exception. This book had me wrapped. This book had me feeling things that I have never felt before. And what I mean by that is I'm not a mother. And for those of you that don't know, this book is about motherhood. It follows our main character, and she is a new mom, and she has an infant son. She calls him Sailor, and she is also married. She has a husband, and we're following her learning how to be a mom, learning day to day what it takes to be a mom and the challenges and the expectations that the world has for you for being a mom, what your child needs from you, what your husband still needs from you, what you need from your husband but you can't get, and how basically your world turns into you not taking care of yourself and continuing to care for your husband, the house, and now you have this new little human that requires 99.9% of your time and your attention in order for it to survive. And basically it discusses that toll that it takes on a woman mentally, physically, emotionally, and it was astonishing how good this book was. I am not a mom, but this book had me angry. It had me enraged. It had me tired and exhausted, and it had me feeling things that I have never felt before as far as empathy when it comes to moms and all of the work that they do and everything that goes into being a mom. And I'm not saying that I wasn't empathetic before. I was. I know that it's hard, but the way that this book was written, it was visceral. The prose and the language and the words that were being said, they turned me into a mom. It made me see things that I never considered before, and the way that the author was able to put me in that headspace at never being a mom, I just think was genius, and I don't know how she did it. And I'm really curious to hear from some of the guys out there to see if they have a newfound respect for motherhood after reading a book like this. Were they able to put themselves in the shoes of a new mom in ways that they never have been before? I know that I was able to do that, but you know, I'm a woman, so that might be easier for me to do. I'm really curious to hear from some of the men out there as to whether or not the author was able to hit home those feelings for you as well, if you have a better understanding of what women go through now than prior to reading the book. This book had me going through all of the feels. And the one thing that I will say that was most striking for me was not necessarily the interactions between her and her child, but what really hit home for me was the relationship that she had with her husband. And I will be honest and say that I have not felt so awkward and uncomfortable and claustrophobic and uneasy reading a book or reading those parts where her and her husband were fighting. It felt so real and it felt so relevant, and that aspect of it was, I think, really what put me over the edge, going from sympathy to empathy, because I know that being a mom is hard. I know taking care of children is hard. I don't have my own, but I have cared for children and I have been responsible for children. And although, you know, at the end of the day, I get to eventually hand them off, I know to some extent that frustration, obviously nothing compared to what moms go through where they have to deal with it constantly, but I can put myself in their shoes temporarily. However, I cannot put myself in the scenario dealing with that, the child caring, on top of the destruction of a relationship and dealing with not only a child, but dealing with a man-child too, that is not respecting you, not helping out, not doing anything to help you with the child rearing, but also expecting the mom to take care of him as well. And I think that that was really the part of the book that put me over the edge and really made me full on respect every single mother out there even more than I already did. And kudos to Claire Kilroy for being brave enough to put some of those things on paper. Some of the things I was reading were shocking. This book will shock you. Some of the thoughts that go through this woman's head are going to be controversial. They're going to disgust some people. And I just really appreciate how raw and honest Claire Kilroy was in her writing, and not being afraid to put that on paper, not forcing herself to tone it down or, you know, that's a little too much. You know, you can't say that. You can't say that as a mom. No one's gonna like that. You're gonna get flack for that. And she didn't care. She put all of it out there. She put the good, the bad, and the ugly, and a lot of it was ugly. And I really respect her for that. And not only did she put the ugly out there, but the way that she portrayed it was so honest and realistic that it's hard for readers to understand her situation and not question exactly why she was doing what she was doing or saying what she was saying. She set it up to where you knew her situation, you knew her mindset. So when she came out of left field and she said these terrible, awful, horrible things, you were kind of just like, yeah, I get it. I know exactly why she is saying these things. I know exactly why she was feeling this way. And I am just stunned by how much this book impacted me. And I can only imagine all of you mothers that are out there reading a book like this, if your situation was similar to the writers, whether or not you were comfortable enough with reading the book. Was it a book where it just got to be too real, it got to be too much, and you had to distance yourself from it? I can very much see this book being a book that a lot of people can't finish just because of how how raw it is and how uncomfortable it might make the reader feel. And I'm gonna say that if I was feeling that as a non-mother, I can only imagine how a woman that has had children and has gone through those things would be feeling through some of those scenes and some of those parts of the book. So I'm really curious to hear from my mothers out there too, how you responded to the book and whether or not it was something that you could relate to, whether it was something that was just too real or too raw for you to get through, maybe just a little bit too close to home for you to want to venture further into the book. I am so glad that I read this. I don't know why I waited so long. This book has been on my radar for a very long time. It was getting buzz back when last year's Booker Prize was announced. There were a lot of people that were predicting that it would be longlisted. It wasn't. I'm so glad that it's finally getting some recognition being on the Women's Prize for fiction. And I definitely can see this book being shortlisted. It's on my personal short list, and yeah, I can't say enough. It's strange. It's like I want to say I can't say enough good things about this book, but I know that this book is going to be a struggle for a lot of readers. But this one, it really, I just loved it so much. And once again, Irish fiction, I mean, they can just do no wrong. And anytime I see a book on a long list and it's by an Irish writer, I know that I'm going to love it. I can't even think of the last Irish book that I picked up that I did not like. So kudos to all of the Irish authors out there. Keep them coming. I love it. So yeah, I finally have a 5-star from the Women's Prize. I also have another 5-star that I still need to do a review for, and big surprise, it's another Irish book, and I am hopefully going to be getting to that one soon and get that review out. But until we read again, bye.